all set up the way you want it? Okay.
Guys, okay if we take our mask off when we speak? Is everybody comfortable with that? Okay, I just want to make sure. It's hard for me to handle. John, you all right?
Anybody wants to ask questions? Mark Aaron is live streaming this for us through social media. Starting about 1 minute. All right, good morning. Thank you to all our media partners, community members for joining us and watching our presentation here. We will get started. I'll get this thing started by introducing Chief Scott Booth.
Hey, good morning. How's everybody doing? Thanks for joining us today. So what we want to do is really just give a brief overview of what we're doing here in Danville, Virginia to reduce crime and engage with our community. If you've been with us for a while, been chief here for about 4 years now, came here in early 2018. What we try to do at the first part of every year is just gather our media partners together just to give out a good message to the community about what we're working on, what we want the community to pay attention to, what we think that's working for our organization, for our community. So certainly thank you for joining us this morning. We really appreciate it. And I will turn things over to Captain Richardson, who's going to go into kind of the state of crime over the last few years in our community. He'll share some numbers with you. Then you will hear from some of our other division captains, and they'll talk about their individual shops, what they've got going on, programming, and things that their units are working on. So once again, thanks for being with us. And Steve, turn it over to you.
Chief, just to give you a little bit of historical perspective on kind of what we're looking at today. As Chief said, he came in 2018, and the stated goals were crime reduction and community engagement, which kind of set the groundwork for where we're at today. Moving into 2018, we had a lot of gang initiatives going on, mostly through our gang unit, and more about solving those cases and getting those violent offenders off the street. 2019, complete restructure of the department, new initiatives, new promotions, new leaders that were brought on through the chief's vision. Also in 2019, the stratified model of policing, we brought in that to kind of get us where we need to be as far as accountability in the agency and through crime reduction. So moving through that, the focused deterrence model started building, our model of that, and community engagement just grew by leaps and bounds, and it became everyday problem solving, how we do things. 2020, much more data-driven policing, community problem solving continued to grow. The department took on other community problem solving efforts like battling opioids and addiction, hunger issues in the community, dealing with at-risk youth and partnering with people in the community, all while growing the department's community engagement efforts by leaps and bounds. Ashton Fadrell was added as a community liaison and added unbelievable programs, including reentry and things we had not had prior. That gets us to 2021 and kind of what we're looking at today and how we're really looking at that 3-year implementation of what we're, the Danville model of how we're doing policing of 19, 20, and 21. And we now have 3 years of data to kind of look at how this is working out for us. So 2021, it was continued growth for the 3rd year in a row. Continued growth in agency accountability and the great community support. That's kind of been the theme of 21, community support and internal accountability for the agency. So that brings us to this review and my portion here when it comes to the numbers. So after 3 years of full implementation, we're looking at this first slide is a 3-year analysis of violent crime. These are totals for 2019 through 2021 in comparison to the 3 years prior to full implementation of our model. After looking at those numbers, we have a 51% reduction in violent crime over the last 3 years prior to the 3 years before that. We did a lot of things in 2018. Full implementation was 2019, but that's a number that we can be happy with there. 51% reduction over 3 years. And just to give you a perspective, that's 407 less violent crimes per year in our community. That's more than one a day less. Breaking that down a little bit more, we take a look at homicides. Always of interest to a community and a measurement of where the community is. Downward trends over the period of the entire 6-year period when you kind of look at that. And the homicide analysis, for the 2nd year in a row, the department solved homicides at 100%. It's a number we're really proud of. Since 2018, the department has investigated 29 homicides total. 26 of those 29 are cleared by arrest. The other 3 are still active, ongoing investigations. During that same time period, 7 previous or cold cases have been solved. So we have solved more homicides than we've had during that time period, and it continues to grow. The 3-year analysis of homicide alone, you see the 3 years prior, we had 41. 19, 20, and 21, we had 20. That average, we dropped 51.3% drop over the last 3 years. We'll move forward to robberies. You can see where those numbers were in 2016, 2017. We did see some reduction in 18, and then 19, 20, 21. Completely different vision of 19, 20, and 21 than the 3 years prior. We had a continued annual reduction to a total of 12 in 2020, which was the lowest total in the 35-year history of UCR NIBRS reporting in our country and for the City of Danville Police Department. The case clearances continue to be well above the national average all 3 of those years. And then in comparing the 3-year analysis of the robberies, again, that's just, we couldn't have even imagined or those type of reductions. Averaging 68 per year for the 3 years prior, down to 22 per year for the last 3 years. 67.4% drop for that 3-year period. Sustained drop in one of the violent crime areas there. Aggravated assaults, breaking those down. This is one area that we did increase a bit in 21. The aggravated assault analysis, we increased in totals. Those patterns were addressed through the focused deterrent efforts that we do on a weekly basis throughout the year. Some of those efforts have, where we deal with spikes and patterns have already been addressed throughout media releases throughout 2021. Operation Mousetrap, Freedom, Justice Without Borders. Those are very focused initiatives to get bad folks off the street in response to increased patterns and aggravated assault. So we don't wait till the end of the year to deal with crime. This is dealt with on a weekly basis throughout the year. The increased cases for 2021 were met with increased clearances. Cases were cleared at 81.13% for all aggravated assaults in 21. This is the highest number since UCR NIBRS was in 1985. So we did see some increase in aggravated assaults, but when we talk about community support, that's where that number comes from. We're able to solve those cases and get those folks that would commit violent crime off the street at unbelievable rate. So many factors do play into crime being committed, but the numbers don't lie. More than 81% chance of being caught if you choose to commit a violent crime in Danville. So we're pretty proud of the support we're getting in the effort of the men and women of the police department to solve that violent crime at such a high rate. And the 3-year analysis, 161 per year, 16 through 18. It dropped to 84.7 for the last 3 years on average, a 47.5% drop over a 3-year period since implementation of our model. So move to property crime. Pretty significant drops, on average, more than 1,100 less property crimes a year over the last 3 years. That's about 3.5 less victims a day. 23% reduction over 3 years. All right, property crime analysis. 2020 number was far below the 35-year low by 16% in 2020. In 2021, we saw yet another decrease. An increase. It's still lower than the lowest year prior, other than 2020. It would be the second lowest in 37 years. The 3-year average of 1,285 property crime total as an average is lower than any single year prior to the implementation of our current model of how we're policing. Burglary, that's a crime that impacts a community and can impact innocent victims at any time. It's a number we're really proud of, to see those significant drops of 288 in 17 to 111 in 2021. Another area I'll show you is that red is cases cleared. That's 51 out of 111 cases cleared for burglary in 2021. That's focus and community support to solve those crimes. The burglary analysis, the 2019 total was lower than the 35-year low of 220 in 1986. The downward trend is continued in 2020, and then in 2021, 111 was another reduction over 2021 was another reduction over 2020, the third year in a row that we set a new all-time low for burglary numbers in our UCR NIBRS reporting. Those are the 3 lowest years in the history of NIBRS for Danville since 1985. Pretty significant and something we're pretty proud of. And a 47.5% drop over the previous 3 years. Brings to case clearances. I can't say enough about the efforts of individual officers and investigators in this department when it comes to how they clear cases. We compare ourselves on a weekly basis and an annual basis on case clearance. And that burglary nationally, we're 3 times national averages there, twice the national average on robbery for 21. And those, just to give you an idea, the 3 years since implementation of our current model, 19, 20, and 21 are all shown, and those are significant clearance rates for this department, 3 years. This is a sustained model, and we were happy with that. So I'll move from those numbers. I will introduce Captain David Whitley. He's our investigations captain.
Good morning. Thank you, Captain Richardson. Thank you, Chief. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all this morning. I'm going to speak about what we do in the investigative division, our focused deterrent model, how that applies to the crime, and how that's contributed to these great numbers that you guys have seen today. First of all, I'm going to start out with it's an absolute team sport, not just within our agency, but with our partnering agencies, and first and foremost, the community members. One of the things that you heard Captain Richardson talk about is our community engagement efforts. I can't tell you from the investigative division side how important that is to us. We've learned over the past few years that us developing the trust, the community, and trusting us has contributed more to our success because it outweighs the fear that the folks have in the community from the criminals. So some of the things that we did beginning in 2018 and certainly full implementation in 2019 was we definitely went in the direction of problem-oriented policing. We built that from the PSN model, Project Safe Neighborhood, which is a national model that is fronted by the FBI, and certainly the Charlottesville Prosecutor's Office brought that to us, and we built our model to suit our needs, what we needed, the problems that we were facing. From that model, what we did was we began, instead of focusing on communities or areas of streets or neighborhoods, we started focusing on the individuals who were committing the crimes. Statistically, in every community, the people who commit crimes, it is a very, very low number compared to the population, and we found that obviously to be true in Danville. From that model, we developed our core response for opioid addictions, the opioid problems that we had. We noticed a spike year before last. We developed a model based on our PSN model where we were able to discern, differentiate from the people who were suffering from the disease of addiction, the people who were suffering from addiction and dealing, and then the full-fledged traffickers that were bringing narcotics into our area. Due to that effort, that focus effort that we had, 2021 experienced a 17.8 reduction in reported overdoses and a 33% decrease in overdose-related deaths. Pretty impressive numbers to go along with what Captain Richardson already showed you. Along with that, with the full implementation of our lethality assessment program, which is a program used to address domestic violence. Captain Thompson is going to speak about that when I'm finished here. I'm going to close by saying this. It certainly is impressive to see what the city of Danville is doing, where it's come from, and where we're going. We have seen a spike in crime this year, as you can see by those numbers. What has changed is the way that we address those spikes. We don't wait to the end of the year. We don't wait to the end of the month. We address those as soon as we notice them. We have extremely smart women and men in our detective division and in our department as a whole. We keep an eye on those numbers on a weekly basis, and we address those through smart policing and certainly through our relationships with other agencies and with the community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity to get up here and talk a little bit. So 2021 was a very interesting year for us on patrol. I'm Captain Keith Thompson, one of the patrol commanders over the north side of the city. 2020, we really dove into stratified policing, which was an accountability model to keep our eye on the ball on what's going on in our city. Part of that was breaking our city in half, putting captains over those areas. And then we saw where our patrol division was doing shift work, doing 12-hour shifts, and then going home. That kind of left them in the dark when it came to actually possessing a piece of the city to better serve our citizens. We talked about it, and neighborhood-oriented policing was the model that we wanted to help increase our stratified policing, which broke our city into 4 quarters. We put a lieutenant over each one of those, giving them additional supervisors and officers to address those specific problems in those areas. And four elements of neighborhood policing is geographical responsibility, which I just talked about, given a specific group of officers, a specific piece of property to be able to manage, get into the community, find out what's actually going on. Problem solving, we give these lieutenants resources to be able to get different problems solved, because what happens on the north side over Walmart area is very commercially oriented, where the south side near this area is the old town, Danville. Two different sides of the city, two different problems. Give these guys resources, gals resources to be able to solve these problems specifically versus looking at the whole city and trying to manage that for 12 hours. Another thing we do is community input. We talk to these lieutenants, get out here, they do routine community engagements in key areas of their neighborhoods to find out actually what's going on. What we perceive is going on, sometimes not actually what is going on. And we can get community input and find out what is actually happening in the community to make the quality of life better in these communities. And the fourth thing for NOP is decentralized problem solving or command. Giving these lieutenants the opportunities to make decisions, put a plan in place, and implement it to impact that area or problem immediately versus getting it passed through the chain of command. It could be a week or two, or things happen, and next thing you know, a whole other scenario has transpired. So giving these lieutenants a chance to be able to solve problems quicker by making the immediate decisions when possible. So Captain Whitley was talking about the LAP program. That's a lethality assessment program. It is a domestic violence partnership and we partner with Haven of the Dan River. It's a response to violent domestic situations. So our officers go to these. This was implemented, I believe, in March of last year, and it was implemented to reduce calls for service for domestic violence, and it was also to help get services to victims of domestic violence. It was put on by the Attorney General's office here in Virginia. They trained the trainer, and then we trained our officers to respond, have a little questionnaire where we can go to these domestic situations and ask these key questions, and then it tells us whether we need to reach out to Haven or another service to help provide these people with ways out of bad situations and things of that nature. There's actually a detective that looks over those things every day as they come in so that we're not missing anything. It's a great program, and just preliminary we haven't done a full year of it yet, but so far we have had a reduction in calls for service. So that keeps our officers out on the street more available to other needs as needed. Something else we did this year, 2021, was we partnered with the Santoses to a COPS program grant, and we did the domestic violence repeat incidences. And so in stratified policing, we have repeat calls for service. This was a little different. We carved out domestic disputes. It could be just an argument. It could be a custody issue. We went through our calls for service and said, what could we do? What could be a domestic situation? And when we had more than two in a certain period of time, we would issue it out to a supervisor. They, in turn, would not go that same day, but they would wait till things had calmed down a little bit and go and talk with these people about what was happening in their house and how can we resolve the situation. And a lot of times that was more of people actually thought, hey, they actually care about what's going on in their house, and a lot of that stuff was really resolved quickly and very rarely ran over what we consider a 28-day period. So there's a couple things we've been doing on patrol, trying to help reduce domestic violence, help reduce calls for service, give our officers more time to be proactive out here in the community that they serve. Now I'll turn it over to Captain Pace.
Good morning. I'm Captain Jerry Pace, and I'd like to start off by thanking Chief Scott Booth for allowing me to participate in this press conference. So when Chief Booth come to Danville in 2018, he had two agendas: significant reduction in significant violent crime and community engagement. So while we've heard some very impressive numbers today and statistics from Captain Richardson with the addressing of violent crime or crime in general, make no mistake about it, none of that would have been possible without the partnership that we forged with the community since 2018. Because everything we do at the police department, with Chief Booth's leadership, is focused on community. So I'm going to talk about several of our programs today that we have been doing. The first one is a program that we launched in 2019 known as HEART, and that is an acronym which stands for Heal and Engage After Recent Trauma. And this was a community engagement initiative that we designed to respond to a neighborhood that had recently fell victim to a significant incident. In the beginning, it usually revolved around homicides or some kind of aggravated assault incident. The HEART is a partnership. It's not just consistent of the Danville Police Department. It consists of members of the Danville, Pennsylvania County Community Services, counselors, which actually join us and go out, and also prosecutors from the Commonwealth Attorney's Office here in the city of Danville. We focus on responding to that neighborhood that is impacted within 24 to 72 hours. And I will say most of the time it's on the 24-hour side. We try to get out there as quickly as possible. The engagement is designed to educate the citizens. It's not an investigative canvas. It's a educational walk. And we also, while talking with the citizens, we have those counselors from Danville, Pennsylvania County Community Services. So if we run across somebody that needs some kind of services, we have those resources available to provide. While we're walking, the program is designed to speak with the citizens without compromising the investigation and pass on as much information as possible. And some examples of this may be whether a suspect has been identified, whether an arrest has been made, and whether the incident was random or not. Those three things in most cases will bring a lot of comfort to the citizens in that neighborhood. It allows them to know what's going on and gives them some sense of relief. A couple more objectives, a couple more initiatives that we have had here at the Danville Police Department actually came from Ms. Fodrell's office or position, which we have spoke about Ms. Fodrell earlier. She came out with a program that is known as Positively Pretty, and that is a program that focuses on middle and high school aged girls who have experienced some form of traumatic situation in their lives, and the program is designed to build self-esteem, confidence, and mentorship. And then another program that Ms. Fodrell come up with is called Pass the Perspective, and this is a very interesting program that I happen to think is successful. What this does is this allows us to bring citizens in from the community and speak with them and obtain their perspective and how they view their police department. But it also offers us the opportunity to give them insight and education into police operations. And we have a system here. It's a Firearm Simulators known as Milo. And police do like acronyms, but Milo, as far as I know, is not an acronym. It's just M-I-L-O. And it's a interactive system that integrates the various use of force scenarios and training exercises to enhance an officer's judgment in stressful environments. So what we do is while we have those citizens here going through the Pass the Perspective program, we actually allow them to go through the Milo simulator scenarios and put them in the shoes of a police officer to make those split-second decisions that an officer is faced with on the street. So it kind of gives them the perspective of what a police officer sees, while we at the same time obtain their perspective as a citizen, and we're able to have good communication. Another great community engagement initiative that we just recently had the opportunity to open up the Peace Community Center located on Green Street here in the city of Danville. And that is a community center which focuses on community youth and teens. And the center is currently opened on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. for the community's teens and youth to come over and have an outlet to participate. And also, just I would be remiss if I didn't mention this, we are actually having a Peace Center Spring Kickoff this coming Saturday, which is opened, that's February 19th, which is open to the public, and that's going to be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So if you want to come out and see the Peace Center, it'll be open this coming Saturday. The department also has participated in some food and toy drives in 2021. We actually had 2 toy drives during the Christmas season. One was fully fully operated by the Danville Police Department, known as Toys and Badges. That was through Corporal Brooks's office. And then the second one was a partnership with the Danville Fraternal Order of Police and the Danville Police Department called Cops and Kids. That's where we take children out to local Walmart and shop. Another initiative is the annual Youth Academy that the Danville Police Department was able to start back in 2021. We had to miss 2020 due to COVID, but we were able to start it back in 2021, and we generally average between 30 and 40 children get to participate in that program. And actually, I think registration is open for 2022. And the final program I'd like to speak about was a program that I was personally involved in along with 5 other police officers in the police department. Danville Police Department was one of 5 agencies in the Commonwealth that got to participate in a Department of Criminal Justice Services, which is known as Dcjs program. And it started in late 2020 and ran through the better part of 2021. And this program originally was launched as Investment in Community and Law Enforcement Partnerships, but was later rebranded as Courageous Conversations, Listening and Learning Series. And the program was a bi-weekly, every other week Zoom meeting to discuss police and community relations. The city of Danville, we brought 14 citizens and 6 police officers, one of the police officers being Chief Scott Booth. We brought 14 citizens and 6 police officers to this program, and the community members included faith-based leaders, community activists, and other invested community stakeholders, to include business owners and representatives from PAS. The topics discussed included implicit bias, use of force, and recruitment and retention of policing professionals. And the initiative culminated with many of our program participants, both law enforcement and citizen stakeholders, attending a 2-day workshop at the University of Virginia Frank Batten School of Leadership and Public Policy in August of 2021. So while this is not everything the Danville Police Department is doing to include the community of stakeholders in the policing process in our community, this is some of the highlights, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kevin. As we continue, a few of the highlights, the 2021, I said it earlier and I'll say it again, it was a big year of accountability for the police department, both internal and to the community. One of the highlights I'll start with is the CALEA process, the Commission for Accreditation of Law Enforcement Agencies. That's been a 2-year process that ended for us in December, or the final steps. Amazing community support that we keep talking about. This room was full for community support and input night for that process, with many leaders giving positive feedback. This program provides accountability for the agency to the community and sets the highest standards for law enforcement that we had to meet over the last 2 years. That final step is the award process. We expect that to be in April of 2022. We added a use of force sergeant position in January of 2021. Again, all about accountability. That position added a constant review of best practices and use of force, added lots of new training opportunities for everybody in the department, including de-escalation, constantly looking for new best practices, and added another layer of transparency through the addition of a command level review of every use of force. That it brought in civilian panel members for that final top layer review of use of force. So even more transparency to the community with that. And the last highlight I will hit is that we added IA Pro Blue Team software. This provided more oversight. It's an internal affairs software that helps us implement an early intervention program. Helps us better track use of force, complaint data, and that was just finished in December and being fully implemented now throughout the department. So that was most of the accountability portion that I wanted to cover for highlight in 2021. All right, as we get close to the conclusion here, moving forward in 2022, the biggest thing we're looking for is the exciting transition to the new state-of-the-art police department. Late spring, early summer, we're expecting to get into that building. It's a great facility on Memorial Drive. If you have not seen that, it's going to provide an opportunity for us to grow our engagement programs with the great community rooms and space that we've just never had before. So we're pretty excited about that. I just spoke of the expected completion of CALIA. That's a big deal for us, a 2-year process. It's going to be here in the spring. And the continued growth of efforts around our model of policing. We keep talking about the 3-year review. This has truly become a Danville model of policing for us. And for a little bit of review moving forward, that model incorporates a lot of things you've heard today. I'll start with leadership and accountability through the stratified policing model that we've implemented. A robust and innovative community engagement model, partnering with community and law enforcement partners. Data-driven and evidence-based policing tactics to identify and solve problems at the lowest level. You heard Captain Whitley talk about that. We want that problem offender and problem location, the lowest level. Predictive policing, using focused deterrence for gangs and youth, addiction and drug investigations, or post-violence response to deter further retaliation. They're just a few examples of that. Cutting-edge training, including de-escalation, use of force, or new officer training that includes the innovative new immersion program, which is 4 weeks every new officer goes through to incorporate all aspects and understand the city in different perspectives before ever going on the street. That immersion program is certainly cutting edge. Constant review and implementation of innovative new ideas. We get feedback and ideas from the community and within the agency to better reduce crime and problem solve for the community while building trust and transparency on a daily basis. This Danville model is solidly implemented. I think the 3-year numbers will show that. It represents the way crime and community problems have been addressed over the past 3 years by the department, and it will continue to be addressed. Crime will continue to be addressed moving forward with this amazing community support we've had and the continued growth and leadership that, of Chief Booth. So with that, thank you, and I would bring Chief Booth back.
Thanks, Steve. Can you go back to the clearance rate slide? I want to leave that on. That's a lot of information. Is everybody still with me? Kind of, sort of? All right, thanks. A lot of information. I won't repeat a whole lot of things, but I do want to emphasize a couple things. When you look at those clearance rate slides, you'll find that those are much higher than many, many departments, not just in our Commonwealth, but also in the state of Virginia. Do the homework on that. I think you'll find that. And you don't get there by any other way by focused policing, focusing on violent offenders, focusing on people that are actually out there committing crime, and community support. And for our department, from being in a place in 2017 when we were not working with the community to the levels that we are now, I really am very proud to be able to share these, especially these clearance numbers with you, as well as a general crime decline when you look over the last few years. Crime goes up, crime goes down. If we're doing the right things, community support stays with us. Like Captain Richardson said, and great job, Steve, great job to all the captains with this, putting this together. Steve put a lot of work into this. Crime goes up, crime goes down. All we can do is respond to it effectively and work with the community. Some things that really are working for us that might not be translated easily into a slide are things like de-escalation training. All right, we use a PERF model, the ICAT model. We were the first municipal police department in Virginia to go to that model. And I could tell you time after time the success stories that we've had, for want of better words, where all our officers have been trained to a level that they were able to de-escalate situations. And as we've seen over the last few years in policing, it's become more important than ever for us to really find creative ways to address issues in our community. So that's working for us. Focused policing's working for us. Community support's working for us. And like Captain Richardson said, the fact that we're going to be moving into a new facility, One Community Way, which is the name of our new facility, we are very excited about. And we really look forward to 2022 and the upcoming years to continue with some successes and whatever challenges that come our way. Thank you very much for coming out here with us today. And we will, of course, open it up to questions. Once again, thank you. Any questions? Don't be mad if I hand it off to somebody. Anything? All right. Thank you all for coming. Really appreciate it. Thanks.